Bird.
Oh no. Here we go. Boom. Hey guys, welcome to another live session from NZ Pocket Guide. We're stoked that you are with us. Today we're going to be answering a lot of your questions about traveling in New Zealand because we cannot are the experts of traveling in New Zealand. But Laura, why are we the experts?
Well, this is Robin and I'm Laura, and we're the team behind NZPocketGuide.com, which is New Zealand's largest travel guide. And it's a perfect place to go and get your questions about traveling in New Zealand answered, because it literally has thousands and thousands of articles to help you plan your trip to New Zealand. So just at this address right here, NZPocketGuide.com. Probably, in our humble opinion, one of the better places to go and plan your trip in New Zealand. Obviously, when you are able to come to New Zealand, but there's nothing wrong with forward planning. But if you're not really into reading, we also do this handy live Q&A session every single Sunday at 8 a.m. New Zealand time. So you guys can come straight onto the live chat and ask your questions directly to us. Some people just find that easier and we find it kind of fun, so that's all good. But if you have any questions throughout the week and you miss the live Q&A session, we pull them together and we answer them throughout the video as well. So just put your questions in the comments of any of our videos to get your questions answered.
Yes, and actually we have It's Harris, which says that he's excited because he actually asked us a question in one of our recorded videos. And it's ready for you, Harris. We'll cover that very soon. We also have Anthony Comstock that says Morena from California, USA. If you guys don't know, Morena means good morning in Maori, which is the local indigenous language here in New Zealand. We have Martina, which says hi guys. She's from Northern Germany. She's popping in all the time. So thank you, Martina, for being here with us. And we have Michael Connell, which is in New Zealand. He says, good morning, I think, from the sunny HBC. I hope that you both had a great week. Looking forward to this morning chat. Good, not great. I did correct this one. I don't know. Sometimes the autocorrect is kind of crazy. I had a fantastic week. We actually did quite a lot. We all the way to Hawke's Bay and tried some fantastic wines over there. It was quite awesome. There's some really fantastic sceneries over there. Amazing amount of vineyard. Yeah. We have Cecile that says kia ora. Cecile from the Philippines. Hey, Cecile. Thank you very much for joining us this week. That's awesome to have you on board. So, a couple of pieces of business before we answer some questions. Today, we actually are celebrating 2 years of doing those live sessions with you guys. It's actually live session 104. And since there is 52 weeks in the year, that is basically 2 years. So happy 2 years birthday to this live session. I hope that you guys are enjoying all the videos that we do on this channel. So yes, that's quite cool. And it is International Ninja Day today. So if you know a ninja that moves like a wind.
For all the ninjas in your life, celebrate them.
International Ninja Day. But it's also World Topsoil Day. So just know what you put in your soil when you are trashing oil and stuff like that. Just, celebrate soil. Anyway, just that.
Nice.
All right. Pretty Rose says, great morning, guys, from India. Hey, Prettiya. Thank you.
Hey.
Or Pretty Rose. Pretty Rose. So here you are. Hello. We have Benny Grayling that says good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Benny. And we have Phoebe that says, hello, guys. Good evening from Indonesia. Oh, that's awesome. I hope that you're doing great. We're doing awesome. We are pumped today. He says, he or she says, do you have any prediction for when do university students from Indonesia could go to New Zealand? I want to go to Invercargill. So at this stage, there is no more information than what we put in our prediction videos last month. We are working on a new prediction video, but it won't be great. Basically, we're going to push most of the prediction further back. So we're working on that. It will come out in the next couple of weeks on the channel, so stay subscribed. But so far, no, not really. It's not going to be until mid next year. Even the intake for February 2021, we don't think this is happening either. So just so you have your expectations correct. We also Alisra that says, hi, I'm from Saudi Arabia. I'm planning to spend my honeymoon in New Zealand. When do you expect the New Zealand government will open the border? We have a full video on the channel with our expectations of when we think the border may open. It's obviously just predictions, so we're not 100% sure. To find this video, you can click on videos when you go on our channel, you click on the channel, then you click on videos, and then you scroll down until you see something bright yellow and red, and that is our video with all our predictions. And there is a lot of different countries and everything, but it won't be until mid to very late next year with a real kick-off for people being able to come to New Zealand in 2022, in our opinion. Prem Anando says, good morning. Good morning, Prem. How are you doing today? And we have Heats Harris that say, I'm here. So I think that's a good time for us to actually do his question. So here's what we have for you guys this morning. So let's start again. It's Harris commented on one of our YouTube videos with a question, and he says, it would be amazing if you made a video of the most beautiful lakes in New Zealand. Well, guess what? It's amazing. We're doing it now. All right, so there are a ton of lakes in New Zealand. Like literally, I think it counts in more than hundreds. Close to 1,000 lakes.
Well,
in New Zealand.
I think I read somewhere there's over 300 lakes.
Wow, so not close to 1,000. That's just counting the puddles on the roads.
Yes,
but if you just count lakes, so there is over 300 lakes in New Zealand. So there's really a lot of them, and a lot of them are absolutely amazing. Now, some of them are very, very, very remote, very hard to reach, and so for this reason, we kind of tried to list our 10 favorites or like most beautiful lakes that are somewhat easy-ish to reach, right?
Yeah.
We did kind of forego some really hard to reach, which are absolutely stunning, but you can only get there through helicopters and all that. So that's maybe a little too much. So we have ranked our top favorite lakes in New Zealand. Before we begin, if there is your favorite lake out there in New Zealand and we didn't mention it here, we're very sorry. It's just how we felt today and what are the lakes that we loved today. But mention them in the comment below. We'll get there. We'll check it out and we'll get back to you. And we may update this video in the next couple of years and be like, okay, here's our new top
changed our favorite lakes.
Exactly. So without further ado, let's get started with number one. Laura, tell us about Lake Matheson.
Okay, Lake Matheson is famous for its super reflective waters, which specifically reflects Aoraki Mount Cook, which is the largest or that tallest peak in New Zealand. And you can find Lake Matheson in the Fox Glacier area just outside of the village. And there's a short walk. It's about 2 hours to walk the circuit around the lake with lots of amazing viewpoints along the way.
And we will put a link in the description of this video, which is going to be to an article with those 10 lakes ranked with a ton of links to like how to get there and all those information. Next is Lake Toppo, the largest lake in New Zealand.
Yeah, so obviously this has to make the list because it is the largest lake in New Zealand. They say it's so large that it can fit the entirety of Singapore inside the lake. Wow. So a lot of people, when you're cruising along its shores, you often think you're on the coast. It's that large. But yeah, obviously because it is so big, it's in the center of the North Island. There's many different places that you can go to around the lake to enjoy its scenery. The most famous place is to go to the town of Toppo, which is right on the lakefront. But yeah, there's many little nooks and crannies along the shores of Lake Toppo to enjoy its beautiful scenery.
My favorite way to enjoy Lake Toppo is to actually do a skydive. It's the cheapest skydive in the country, and you get to see the whole lake from up there. So that's my favorite way to enjoy Lake Toppo. Moving on to Lake Rotoiti.
Yes, Lake Rotoiti. There's actually 2 Lake Rotoitis in New Zealand, but we're talking specifically about the one in the South Island in the Nelson Lakes National Park. This is a super accessible one to get to. It's usually a stop for people going between Nelson and heading to the west coast of the South Island. It's just off one of the main highways with a beautiful jetty. Well, it's not like the jetty is beautiful, but the scenery beyond the jetty is pretty stunning with lots of mountains surrounding the lake. It's a very good photo stop.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most Instagrammable spots in New Zealand for sure. Lake Pukaki is next on our list.
Yes, okay. Lake Pukaki is in the South Island also, and it's the lake sort of leading up to the Aoraki Mount Cook National Park. From different perspectives, you can actually see the mountain, Aoraki Mount Cook at the end of Lake Pukaki. But the most striking thing about this lake is just how blue its waters are. And that's because all the glacial silt coming from the mountains is being washed into the lake, giving it this sort of really vibrant blue color.
Yeah, it does look like the blue milk from Star Wars, basically. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, sure.
So not too far from Lake Pukaki, we have Lake Tekapo.
Yes, put this next on the list because it is one of the neighbouring lakes to Lake Pukaki, but
so it's next on the list for convenience.
Yeah, mostly for convenience. If you're going to see Lake Pukaki, you're probably going to go see Lake Tekapo in the same day. And this lake is also vibrantly blue, coming from all those glacial silt coming from the mountains. But yeah, on this lake, you can enjoy many activities. You can go jet boating there now. You can also actually, the area itself is an international dark sky reserve. So when night falls and you can't see the lake anymore, you can enjoy stargazing instead in some of the clearest skies in the world. So that's sort of its claim to fame.
Number 6 on our list is a very originally named lake, Blue Lake.
Yes, this is another lake in the Nelson Lakes National Park in the South Island, but this is one of the more, it's an accessible lake, but it's quite hard to get to.
That's the hardest to access in our entire list.
Yes, so Blue Lake, first of all, what it's famous for is having some of the clearest lake waters in New Zealand and in the world, actually. It has 80% visibility through the lake waters, so it is absolutely stunning. Definitely classed as one of the most beautiful lakes in New Zealand. But in order to get there, you either have to do a multi-day hike or you have to go by helicopter. And there are helicopters companies around the Nelson city that will take you up there. So yeah, if you've got some budget, you can certainly go see Blue Lake.
And if you don't have budget, sweat your shoes off and head over there for about 4 days about total for the multi-day hike. Okay, next, number 7 is Lake Wakare Moana.
Yes, this is first of all quite a hard lake to pronounce, but yeah, Lake Wakare Moana is in the North Island, and it's a pretty huge lake in the middle of the Te Urewera rainforest, which is the rainforest. It's the largest tract of rainforest in the North Island. So all around you have absolutely stunning scenery. The road to get there is a little bit sketchy. It's a gravel road pretty much for the whole way, so you have to be sort of comfortable driving gravel roads if you go there. But the famous thing to do there is to do the Lake Wakare Moana Great Walk, which is one of the 10 New Zealand Great Walks you can do. So that's a really cool way to just bask in the scenery.
All right, moving on to number 8, that is the Tasman Glacier Lake.
Yeah, so this refers to the lake that is at the end of the Tasman Glacier, which is the longest glacier in New Zealand, and it can be found in the Aoraki Mount Cook National Park. And what's pretty special about this lake, first of all, it's ever changing. It used to be quite a small lake, and it expands, it gets bigger and bigger. But it's also one of the only accessible lakes in New Zealand, or the only accessible lake in New Zealand, where you can take boat trips or kayaking trips to giant icebergs that have broken off the glacier. So that's a really unique experience that you can do there.
Number 9 is Lake Horroco.
Lake Horroco is another one in the South Island. We seem to be pretty biased on the South Island lakes in this list.
I think there is more lakes in the South Island and North Island, so that's why.
Yeah. So Lake Horroco is in the Fiordland National Park, which is it's very much in the southern Fiordland National Park in the South Island. And again, it's a bit of a gravel road to get there, but it's very scenic. It's got a beautiful, it's got a jetty as well, where it has beautiful mountain surroundings and thick, dense native forest. And one of the really cool things you can do there as well is take a jet boat tour, which takes you across the lake, but then actually goes off onto a river, which has grade 3 rapids. It's pretty choppy for a jet boat ride, but it is a real awesome adventure. And we do have a video of us doing that, actually. So if you do, look up our Lake Horroco. Well, actually, I think it's called Humperidge Jet. It was called Humperidge Jet back in the day. They have changed some names of the jet boat now. But yeah, you can check out our video of us doing that very jet boat tour.
Actually, you can check a video of us checking every single one of those lakes on the channel in, 10 different separate videos.
Yes.
Okay, the last one to round up our list is probably one of the most photographed lakes in the country. It's Lake Wakatipu.
Yes, Lake Wakatipu is the lake which Queenstown is on the shores of, and I think it's actually classed as the longest lake in New Zealand. It actually is.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, so it has
lengthy,
a Z shape, and I did read somewhere it was actually the longest lake. So there you go. But yeah, you can. This is because the lake is quite huge. You can admire it from various different vantage points. Of course, Queenstown's the obvious place, but also the road between Queenstown and Glenorchy is very scenic and sort of goes along the edge of the lake the whole way. So that's another really good scenic drive to make the most of the lake. And of course, because it's in Queenstown, there are plenty of activities to enjoy the lake there. You can go on cruises, you can go on the TSS Earnslaw historic steamship across the lake, you can do parasailing,
jetpack,
the jet boarding. You can do jet boating. You can do sharking, all sorts of crazy stuff to do on the lake. So yeah, I think that sums up Lake Wakatipu.
Boom, here you go. That is 10 awesome lakes in New Zealand, our favorite for the moment. I hope that you like this video, Harris. If your name is not Harris and you did have some questions about traveling in New Zealand, you can put your own questions in the comment of this video. We're here to answer all your questions to help you make your trip a breeze. Also, if you do find this video useful, you can hit the like button. It's a great free way to say thank you for all our hard work. And if you want to pick our brain 24/7, it's right here on nzpocketguide.com. It's entirely free and it's the largest travel guide to New Zealand. All right, let's go back to the live chat. What have I been missing? Christina from Australia, she says, good morning. How's the weather today? Grey and... from Canada, not Australia. Grey and snowy here in Ottawa. Okay, for us right now, we had a fantastic week. Not too much rain, but this week starts pretty rainy. So I think that we're gonna have a lot of water coming down in the next few days.
Yeah, we also have grey skies at the moment.
But we don't have snow.
No.
Actually, something quite funny. You and Kiwi Lauren were talking about temperatures last week, and we were playing a stupid games when we had to kind of pick the worst temperature. And you guys were mentioning a minus 28 degrees Celsius, and that's literally the temperature that we both picked. Minus 28 just sounded like the worst. We never experienced it, but that sounded like the worst. Anyway, Michael Connell says Hawke's Bay is hosting Rod Stewart in 2022 again at the Mission. So yes, the Mission is the big winery where they do shows there as well. And I didn't know that Rod Stewart went there, but cool.
Yeah, there actually seems to be quite a lot of gigs that happen in Hawke's Bay.
Yeah.
Like they do lots of like sort of like summer. They're more like gigs specifically to people like Rod Stewart, but it kind of has more of that festival vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Phoebe says, thank you guys, have a pleasant morning. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Come and hang out with us right here and have a pleasant morning with us as well. Cecile says, so guys, my question is there any update regarding working holiday visa for Asian countries like the Philippines? There is no updates regarding the working holiday visa, and our opinion is that this is probably going to be the last thing they're going to update. The working holiday visa tend to always be kind of an afterthought for New Zealand migration and for New Zealand policymakers. So I don't think that's going to be the highest priority. They're probably more going to be focusing on visitors visa to kickstart the economy, to restart the economy through tourism. They're also probably going to be working on the RSE visas, which are basically the seasonal workers that are coming to New Zealand to do all the pickings and everything like that. And then probably afterwards, they're going to be working on the working holiday visas. So I don't think we're going to have any news for working holiday visa makers for quite a while right now. We do receive those kind of questions really often. We just don't really have an answer. So far, there is also a lot of working holiday makers that did apply for the visa, did pay the fee, but couldn't enter New Zealand. And in that case, there is just no refunds for the fees. No immigration New Zealand fees are actually refundable. So, you just you are at a loss right now. And it's a little bit of a risk when you apply for a visa, that you want to be able to use it as soon as you can. And that's why we always tell people, don't plan anything now, only plan when you're ready. So many people are, students and everything also are like, oh wait, I want to book everything now, I want to get started. Don't do anything until you know firmly what date you can come in.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't like giving you bad news, Cecile, but that's basically where it's at right now. In the priority scales, and obviously we want to be wrong. So there's nothing that's gonna make me happier than Liti coming next week and be like, guys, there's been a big update. Everybody can come to New Zealand. But don't think that's going to happen. And so for this reason, we rather kind of give a stern and straight up answer to you and be like, I just don't think that's happening anytime soon. So if I need to give you an absolute date or something like that, I would say nothing until mid to late 2021 at the earliest, probably 2022. That would be my current gut feeling. And obviously, I want to be wrong. I cannot stress enough how much I want to be wrong. Like here, this whole channel is based around people traveling in New Zealand, people coming to New Zealand and enjoying New Zealand. People like Harris that wants to come and check out some awesome lakes in New Zealand. And, that's the whole thing that we do. That's the whole thing that we do on the website as well, helping you plan your trip to New Zealand. It's a wealth of information for you. But right now, it's the only people traveling in New Zealand are locals, and they travel as well. But it's obviously a much smaller amount of people that we get to interact with, and we like to talk to as many people as possible. So here you go, Cecile. What is Harris saying? Harris says, "Thank you for making travel easier for us." Oh, you're very welcome, Harris. Where are you from, Harris? By the way, you didn't tell us that in no comments, but I like to know where you guys are from. By the way, there is still the vote going on. I just realized. I'm going to read all the comments right now.
Yes.
Last week we made a joke and we're voting on the name for that kiwi bird. There is 87% of you that have voted. Whitaker's is number 2, but number 1 currently is Whitbeaks. So go on the page that says, you go on the channel, you click on community, and there's a survey right here. Go vote, share it, get your friend to back your favorite name, because Whitaker's has been making a comeback and is about to overtake Whitbeaks. So I don't know which one you guys prefer, but you've got to share this survey if you want your name to be applied to that kiwi bird. I almost forgot about that.
How many people have voted so far?
87 of you guys have voted so far. So, every vote counts. Every vote counts. All right. JS says, good morning from the Middle East. In your opinion, do you think that the widespread and imminent distribution of COVID-19 vaccine will positively affect the New Zealand border openings? So yes, that will positively affect the New Zealand border opening, but it will take some time because you need a certain, I'm not saying that factually. I've read that. Let's make that clear. I'm not an expert in vaccines or anything like that. The
question is, in your opinion.
Yes, so that's my opinion.
Opinion, yeah.
So what we've read is that, they need a certain minimum amount of people in the country that is vaccinated to create something called immunity. And for New Zealand to achieve that, it is going to take and so for this reason, I think that New Zealand is still going to be staying kind of locked. And, it's kind of also, it looks really good for the politicians. Say, we're locking everything and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to stay locked for quite a while. So an opening until, next year, mid or not late next year. But they may expand capacities for people that can come to New Zealand. But with the quarantine, that means you have to spend the 2 weeks on quarantine when arriving and those kind of things. So, yeah. So positive impact of a vaccine, COVID-19? Yes, of course, that will. But just positive, immediate, right now impact? No, it's not happening just yet. It will take some time. Again, you ask in my opinion only, so don't take that as absolutely matter factually.
Yes. There's no fact in there, just pure opinion.
Yes, pure opinion. It's based on fact, but it's pure opinion. It's Harris, agree with you that the best lake is Lake Matheson. So here you go. Boom.
Yeah, cool.
Michael Connell says, are you going to make the blue side of NZ Pocket Guide into a bumper stickers by any chance?
We should.
Do you want that? So you want that as a bumper sticker? Yeah, I can sort that out for you if you really want. That's no problem at all. You don't like the white side, though?
I think the blue one would look better in the car, would it? I'm not sure.
Yeah, if you guys want a bumper sticker with that on it, we can definitely do that. That's no problem. Cecile says, really helpful, thanks. Yeah, would you guys want bumper stickers? Well, why? And if you want, yes.
Should we add them to the merch that you can buy for below this video?
Oh, come on. That would be making the merch in China, shipping it to the US, and then from the US, shipping it to New Zealand. That will kill the planet for one sticker. Come on.
Yeah, maybe that's a bit much.
No, we'll figure something out for you, Michael. Cecile says, really helpful. Thanks. You're very welcome, Cecile. And obviously, it's all there is a lot of kind of ball in the air right now, so things change all the time. And that's why we have 4 videos with our prediction on it. And if you watch the first one, then second one, third one, fourth one, you see that they changed quite a lot. And that's also why we don't release those videos with our prediction for New Zealand border openings too frequently, just because otherwise, it's just too redundant. We just wait to actually have different opinion. Our prediction have changed. Yeah. And then at that point we are releasing a video. But there is probably one that's going to come out within the next couple of weeks, like probably not this week, but probably next week at some point. So I'm
Christmas
working on
special.
It. No, just the week before. I think the week before Christmas we'll have one.
Okay.
Jonathan Vincent says, greeting from Northland. Hey, awesome. Nice. Where are you in Northland right now? And are you going to head to the tip-top north of New Zealand, Cape Reinga today? Is it what people do in Northland? They go to Cape Reinga every single day.
Yes, I imagine that's what people.
Or are you going to buggy in the sand dunes? That's one or the other. You either buggy in the sand dunes or you go to Cape Reinga. That's the only 2 things you do in Northland, right?
Go see some nice kauri trees.
Oh, yeah. And go check out the dolphins. There is a lot to do in Northland. I'm joking around. There is a lot to do in Northland. I love Northland. Christina says, do you have a list of some of the jetties with beautiful sceneries? My husband would like to get some photos, so we have something to put on our wall in the living room. List of the best jetties. That's an interesting one.
Well, yeah, since we just mentioned, obviously, the lakes, some of the lakes that we mentioned earlier on in this live session, we also included lakes with some awesome jetty views.
I think, hands down, the best one is Lake Rotorua.
Yeah.
Right? In my opinion, right, the best jetty of New Zealand, on top of it, is super accessible. But in my opinion, the best jetty in New Zealand is Lake Rotorua.
Yeah,
well, there's some really awesome shots
and
there.
For a top tip for you for Lake Rotorua and its jetty, people know about one jetty, which is the one that you can easily find when you park up at the lake. But if you just walk only like a couple of minutes to, say, you're facing the lake and you go to your left, in the sort of next to a camping ground area, there is a second jetty, which far fewer people know about, and it might be less busy because obviously taking a photo of the jetty with tons of people on it doesn't look so great, but yeah.
Yeah, so it gives you plenty of time to be able to take the right shot, take multiple shots and everything rather than having a bunch of people that come there. Yeah. Because Lake Rotorua is also, it's really, really beautiful and really accessible. So a lot of bus tours are actually going there as well.
Yeah.
So sometimes you literally have a bus of 20, 30, 50 people that comes out and they all want to come and take that shot. So you're just right here waiting and everything. So again, walk on the side, left. Yes, you walk
when
left
facing the lake.
Face the lake, walk left. You're going to find another jetty there, and then literally there's going to be no one, so you'll be able to take some pictures there.
Yeah, I was going to say one of my proudest photos, I think, with featuring a jetty is at Lake Horroco, which is the lake I mentioned in the Fiordland National Park, but that jetty is sometimes submerged, so. I mean, there must be a lot, because Fiordland is one of the wettest places in New Zealand and one of the wettest places in the world. I think sometimes when it has lots of rainfall, I think sometimes the lakes fill up and the jetty is submerged. So maybe there's a little bit of a risk going there purely for the jetty, but it is one of my favorite photos that I've taken has been of that jetty.
Yeah. And another tip for this Lake Rotorua one, I'm just keep going. Yep. If you do have a waterproof camera, dump it in the water just under the jetty. There's so many eels down there, which is quite interesting. And so it makes for interesting shots of this jetty. By the way, you can check out all of those on the channel. We have videos on both of those places that we just mentioned. It's Harry says, means a lot. Thanks for this. And I would agree. So here you go. I'm originally from New Zealand and I moved to the UK. Oh, wow. So you're living in the UK now, or are you coming back to New Zealand? Is the plan to come back here?
Or maybe he was just testing us, seeing if we had a good knowledge of the lakes in New Zealand and which ones are the most beautiful.
Wow.
So
okay.
I hope we passed the test.
All right. Then we have, so Jonathan Vincent says that he's in around the Dargaville area. What do you like about Dargaville?
Well, what else would you mention other than the Kauri Museum, of course? But yeah, if you go a little bit further up north from Dargaville, I like the Trowson Kauri Park. Trunson. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
But
don't ask me, with my French accent, I mispronounce every word anyway.
Yeah, and I can't read, so together we're hopeless. But yeah, I really like at nighttime when you can sort of walk around and look out for kiwi birds. We were almost lucky to see one, but I think we saw rustling when we went there.
Yeah.
So we heard kiwi birds, but we didn't get to see one.
Yeah, but that was a really fun evening. Looking.
Yes.
Speaking of the kiwi birds, don't forget to vote for the name of that one over there. It's in the community tab of this channel. Okay, what else do we have? Christina, she says, perfect. Thank you so much. Something to add to the itineraries when we finally get. Christina, I feel like every single time we chat with you, you add something to the itineraries. Like, how long is that bucket list now?
Yeah.
Like, how much do you have on here? I'm kind of very curious now. I kind of really want to get like that list and see like how much we added to it. Also, it looks like you're not going to be traveling until, late next year. So that means that probably another 50 videos of this live session that you're going to be watching. So are you actually going to be adding 50 extra things to it? I mean, at this point, you've got to come to New Zealand for 60 days. You know that, right? There is a lot of things that you added to itineraries.
I guess having all this time to plan right now for coming to New Zealand, you get to sort of make sure that when you do come to New Zealand, it will be impossible to miss anything because you have planned so much. And surely there's no stone unturned by the time you actually get to New Zealand.
All right, so Premanando says, we let the tourists go to the Cap and go to the hidden place, and we go to the hidden places in far north. Ooh, what are the hidden places? Come on, talk to us about those hidden gems.
There's lots of hidden gems in the far north.
Yeah, there is really a ton.
Yeah.
We had a blast in the far north.
Yeah, it's really stunning places. Like I really enjoy the Hokianga Harbour in that area. Going to Opononi.
Yeah.
Opononi, not quite sure how you're meant to pronounce that with a nice rhythm, but yeah, and that area is really lovely. And is it called Whangaroa area with beautiful sandy beaches and stuff. And yeah, if you're really into beaches and things, you can just find a ton of really beautiful beaches in the far north.
Yeah, far north has really a ton to offer. Okay, Jonathan agrees with you. He said the Trunson is nice. He was there the other week. Oh, that's awesome.
Cool.
And JS says Cape Reinga was a false crown anyway. Ooh, I know which controversy you're going to talk about. It's not the northernmost. Yeah, here you go. The Silver Cliffs at the North Cape are the true northernmost points of the North Island. Yes, that is very true. There is a bit of a controversy here, but you've got to pick the one that's going to be the easiest sellable. So I think it's marketing anyway, and it's just a really fun day out and everything. Speaking of that, one of the things I really liked in Northland was when we did horse trekking on the
in
90 Mile Beach.
Is it called Arapuni?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ahipara.
So, we've been to so many places, it all gets a bit muddled in my head after a while.
Prem,
Ahipara.
Jonathan, and JS. It looks like all of you guys are around the far north over there. So is it Ahipara? I think Ahipara. Just correct me if I'm wrong.
Now that you've said it,
we did the horse trekking with some locals over there. That was quite fun. I had a broken arm, and that was really cool. Like they let me horse trek, and it was honestly Northland was the place in New Zealand where they kind of let me do what I wanted, despite the fact that I literally had actual broken bones in me. Like in Pahia, they let me skydive. In Ahipara, they let me bungee jump.
Yeah.
We did a 4-wheel drive in Ahipara as well. Like we did
time out tours. They're not operating anymore.
Yeah, they're not. Okay, well, we did that with those guys. So we went on like quad bike. No, not quad bike, but
like a 4-wheel drive, like sand dune buggy type thing.
Which was like rocking quite a lot. And I was here with my broken arm, like bouncing. So that was a cool place. I actually got to do things despite the fact that it was a bit of a bummer to have a broken arm.
Yeah.
All right. So Christina says we were planning on 3 weeks originally, but now we are planning 4 weeks. Hopefully late October, November next year. So by this time you're gonna come back to us and say you're gonna be doing 5 to 6 weeks. I wouldn't be surprised. if you get that much time off, that is, obviously. Extreme Talota says Moana. So Extreme Talota is in Tokoroa. If you guys don't know yet, he's here every single one of our live sessions. And Moana means good in Maori, which is the local indigenous language. Krishna says she had got a good laugh out of our comments on our itineraries. We did have many places already that you have talked about. Once we have the dates figured out, still waiting on the credit for Air New Zealand, I will send you our itinerary so you can give us tips. Yes, no worries. Guys, we do that all the time. Send us your itineraries and we comment on it. Okay, that's a word and a half to pronounce. Okay, so Kwamruzaman Rana. I hope I pronounced that correctly. He says, he or she says, I'm interested in going to New Zealand. Okay, cool. Well, you're on the right place. If you plan on travel in New Zealand, you are here with the expert of traveling in New Zealand. So ask us questions about your itinerary, ask us questions about what to do in New Zealand. We're here to tell you how to have the best holidays of your life.
Yes.
Damien says, have you ever seen sharks? Are there sharks in New Zealand? There are sharks in New Zealand. There are some big sharks in between the Stewart Island and the South Island, so all the way at the bottom of the South Island. And there are some tours to go check them out. We have not done those tours just yet, but I do really, really love sharks. So as you may know, we don't just do New Zealand. We also do Fiji, we also do Tonga, we also do Niue, which are 3 South Pacific islands, just off the shores of New Zealand. And we do we did swim with sharks in those places. A lot of them are like smaller reef sharks. They're just about your size at most, like your length.
Maybe half a person.
But most of them are half a person, But most of them are half a person.
Yeah.
And they're fantastic animals to swim with and to hang out with. I remember one of the time when was it in Fiji? Yeah, it was in Fiji. We jumped in the water and literally as soon as we put our head in the water, there was sharks kind of coming nearby. That was absolutely fantastic. And we were with a local fisherman, which jumped in the water with us as well. And he started stroking one of the sharks and held him and used him to kind of make his way around. He swam around with the shark. That was phenomenal to watch. And then he was hunting a couple of fish to then feed the sharks. We had no protection whatsoever. It was just awesome to just be in the water with them. Sharks are very peaceful creatures. Don't be scared of shark. There are a couple of attacks a year. There is a handful of attacks a year, but that's nowhere near the gigantic culling that us as terrible humans are doing over the shark species, and it's absolutely undeserved. The apex predator of the seas is essential to the wealth of our ocean and sea, and wildlife wealth. So don't be afraid of sharks. They are awesome. Just don't go poke them. That would be silly. Just watch them behave, and it's a phenomenal moment. Every single time I got a chance to see sharks, I jump in the water and I get to see sharks.
So just to answer your question about sharks in New Zealand, though, there are sharks in New Zealand, but they are it's quite rare to actually see them. Like Robin and I have been on a ton of boat trips. We've been out on the water a lot and we have never seen a shark in New Zealand. But like Robin says, there are great white sharks between Bluff and Stewart Island, which are absolutely amazing, beautiful, obviously creatures, largest types of sharks in the world. But unfortunately, the only time we've heard about people with sharks in New Zealand is when people have accidentally fished them or fished them on purpose. So that's we know that they do exist, obviously, in New Zealand's waters, but they're not as abundant, really.
All right, so don't panic, guys. We will read every comment. Isa Mary says, good morning, guys. I would like to ask if it's advisable to hike Roy's Peak with a 4-year-old.
It's steep. I guess 4 years old is like toddler age. If they're walking themselves, I think that's going to be a challenge. I wouldn't advise that. Yeah, if you can carry them yourself, probably, and you are prepared to carry them for a good portion of the way, because it is really steep and it is quite a long walk, then by all means, if you can carry them. But for them to walk it, I would definitely not advise that.
Also, there is quite a lot of areas which are quite, wide and, as I say, steep, and there is like cliffs on the sides and everything, and there's not much, tree covers as well. So, it may be just a lot of sun, I just don't see it. It's a bit dangerous. Dangerous. Not for an adult, but for 4 years old. Yeah, it's a little bit dangerous. There is a lot of sun.
Yeah,
it's quite long. It's quite steep. I think all of that together. I think of not really. My opinion, no. But obviously, if you can prepare, you have all the right, sun protections and all that, and you feel like you can carry your 4 years old for the whole trek, then go ahead.
Yeah.
But and also that's basically our take. We just don't like to say no to things. That's why I'm trying to think like of solutions.
Yeah.
But the short answer is kind of I wouldn't.
If you're asking if it's advisable, we'd say it's not advisable.
No. By the way, if you guys found all our tips that we're giving you today useful, make sure to hit the like button. It's a great way to tell YouTube that we kind of are useful. And welcome to the 2 people that just popped in right now. We went from 19 to 21, so that was awesome.
Cool.
Who else do we have? Zuvairia Mohamed Rabil. You guys are challenging me with all your names. I love it. Says, is Nelson have more job opportunities? Nelson do have a decent amount of job opportunities, more than other places. Not really, because it's a smaller town, but more per capita, maybe. It depends which field you are into. If you're into anything to do with orchards and agricultural, there is more jobs than you can throw the stone at. So yeah, definitely a lot.
Yeah.
I throw a lot of stone. Extreme Talota asks, how are we? Laura, how are you doing today?
Pretty good, yeah. How are you?
Pretty awesome. I hope that it's going well for you in Tokoroa. Anthony Pichet says, can I have a work visa or be permanent resident when I arrive in New Zealand via tourist visa or sponsorship visa? So not through a tourist visa. When you come in New Zealand with a tourist visa, you can only just travel in New Zealand. You don't even have the right to look for a job. So no. For any other of your sponsorships and those kind of visa questions, you need to contact Immigration New Zealand, because all the visas are currently are evolving, especially at this time right now, and all their policies and visa stuff is ever changing. So you need to contact them to see what is your personal best path to stay in New Zealand, because it will depend about your qualification, your country of origin, your age, your marital status, all those kind of things. There's a lot of different factors. So contact Immigration New Zealand, and to do that, it's immigration.govt.nz. No other website. There are a lot of spoof websites, meaning websites that are kind of looking like they're very official and everything like that, but they are not Immigration New Zealand. If the URL address of the website is not immigration.govt.nz, this is not the official information page that you want. And you're not contacting the official Immigration New Zealand. A lot of people make those mistakes. So remember, it's immigration.govt.nz.
Cool.
Christina is talking about sharks, and she said they are great whites of Stewart Island. That's what we're talking about. What is the name of the tour there? I also love sharks. Something to add to the itinerary. Oh, come on! Something else? That is too funny. What's the name of the tour?
The tour there's called Shark Experience.
Here you go.
So pretty easy. They actually depart from Bluff, which is the small town where you usually get the ferry over to Stewart Island. So it's not, you don't actually start the tour in Stewart Island. You start it off in Bluff.
Yeah, really awesome things to do. I can't wait to head down to the South Island. Michael Connell says, a lot of awesome coastal Department of Conservation parks along the Northland East coasters. A reminder to people to have a red cellophane cover or a red light when walking on the Trunson Loop at night.
Yes.
So you can use any kind of torchlight in the park, but you can put a wrapper of a candy or anything red, or sometimes we use like literally we have a red rain jacket, so you can put that on, and that basically don't damage and don't scare the kiwi birds, which are actually wild over there, and that actually first give you greater chance to see the kiwi birds, but also don't hurt the kiwi birds. So that's the best way. Thank you very much for that tip, Michael. I love the fact that you remind us to kind of say that.
Yeah.
You are awesome.
That also goes for if you're, for instance, going to see like little blue penguins maybe in the South Island, and because they come in at the park, it's usually better to have a red light or a red torch a cellophane or something over the top. Just basically any sort of wildlife viewing at night is usually having that red cover. It makes it more makes it better for the wildlife you're viewing.
And for you, because otherwise they see a big bright light, they just get off.
Yes,
they just run away.
Yeah.
So that means literally you can walk around with a torchlight, you're not going to see anything, or you're going to see them running away from you. Well, if you do have this red torchlight, they kind of, they barely see you.
Yeah.
So, they would still behave and you get a much better viewing experience. That's a good tip, Michael. You know what? Because it's a good tip, I will give you a like. So here, boom, like.
Since we're on the internet.
Yes, since we're on the internet. I love it. Jonathan Vincent says he agrees one of his favorite beach is Bailey's Beach, which is in Northland.
Nice.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Asa Maris, thanks, Guy, for the advice. You are awesome. You're very welcome,
You're
Asa.
welcome.
Feel free to ask us any questions to do with traveling in New Zealand. We're here for that. And you can also check nzpocketguide.com. We actually talk a lot about the Roy's Peak Walk, and so you get much more information about it on there as well. And it's all free, so here you go.
Maybe you can find some alternative walks to do.
Yes, we actually do have alternative walk. Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We've just added a whole bunch of articles onto NZ Pocket Guide recently, which is like basically top 10 lists of the 10 things you can do with kids in, say, Wanaka or...
Oh, why Wanaka? Oh, why?
Because of Roy... Going to Roy's Peak. So so you'll be able, and usually there are one or two walks in all those articles, so that are family friendly.
All right. It's Harry says I can't go because of COVID restrictions. Yeah. So right now you can't come to New Zealand. So right now you're in the UK and you're just planning to coming back to New Zealand. That's cool. Michael Maino says aloha, Robin and Laura. Just popping to say hi, and we see a million emojis. How is it going in Hawaii for you? All right. Dam Cage is talking about what about the criminally raised in New Zealand when I was there. Smash camper van windows and late night bump into the vans saying that they were the police, and also a lot of fight at supermarket car park in general. They love to fight, haha. Also, lots of camper van they get fined. Most of them they don't pay because you're supposed to have an address to receive the fine claims after 2 months. Okay, that's a lot of subject right here. So first up, baby gangs, people smashing camper van windows and everything. We never really heard much of that, let's be honest. We haven't seen anyone fighting in supermarket car parks. I think it's just more like, urban legends and people that may have happened once to one person and it was blown out of proportion in the medias, which they love to do that. So yeah, perhaps. And for the camper van fines, so even from personal experience, so when you get a fine in a camper van in New Zealand, you actually, when you hire the camper van, they actually take your ID and your passport and all those kind of things. They actually do have your address, so don't worry. The camper van company will forward it to you. I have had one forwarded to me before, and I did end up paying it. It really depends on which country you're from. Some forwarding is a bit harder from one country to the other, but no, you usually end up paying your fine no matter what. So don't panic about that. Most people will pay their fines. He says, I just want to know your thoughts. I don't want to be negative. I just say my experience. Well, if all of that was your own experience in New Zealand, well, then you probably didn't have the best time in your life in New Zealand. But this is definitely not the general experience for most people in New Zealand.
Yeah, that would be super unlucky to experience all that. Like we've
everything you raised right now, we probably heard it I've been in New Zealand for 10 years and the tourism industry for the whole lot, and I probably heard that maybe once or one of each, two different people, two different instances, and we talk to literally travelers on a daily basis.
I mean, there was one thing I saw in the news recently where someone got their camper van stolen, but that's locals stealing other locals' vans, which is just like a very one-off occurrence because that's what makes the news. Like in New Zealand, like those sort of things are that rare where, compared to other countries, that's kind of a common occurrence. If you leave your car somewhere unlocked, chances are it's going to get stolen. At least where I come from in the UK, it's kind of like a common thing.
The last walk we went to do, I forgot to lock the car and the car was there.
Yeah,
and nothing was stolen.
So when on the rare occasions that happens in New Zealand, it usually is like it makes the news because it is quite rare to happen.
And also because it's just something that people will click on, right? Medias, news organization like the New Zealand Herald and stuff, for example, which are news organization. They're just clickbait organization, right? Their job is for you to, it's for them to get you to click from Facebook to their articles in order to serve you advertisement. That's basically their job, right? And so, an article saying everything is going well in New Zealand, everybody's having a blast, that wouldn't really get much clicks compared to an article of saying, rampage in the parking lot of New Zealand supermarket. Fight Club is really New Zealand. They would do those kind of things, and that's why they would blow clearly out of proportion. There has been some issues with, there were bad branding, basically, travelers that were doing freedom camping, and they were apparently pooping in the bush. All over New Zealand and everything, which, is a vast minority of people. It doesn't really happen that much, all that nonsense. But they were kind of going on the complete campaign on that because, it gets people to react and it gets people to share and it gets them more view and everything. So that's why we don't really get our news from those things. We usually get news from a website called RNZ. And so that's Radio New Zealand, and there is actually real news. There is no advertisement on there, so they literally just report. So it's something to keep in mind when you think about all the news and info that you're getting. What are they getting out of it? What are they getting out of reporting so much negative stuff? Now, if all of the stuff that you mentioned were all your own experience, each of them all the time, then you probably were the unluckiest traveler in New Zealand, or at least for more experience. Or maybe we're just completely oblivious to all those things. But honestly, we do kind of have a really strong pulse on, traveling in New Zealand. So I really don't feel that maybe, that's the case.
Yeah.
Michelle Norona says, will the IEP visa be made available at some point? So again, this is just my opinion right now. Take that as factual, but I think that the IEP visa is no more and is never going to come back. Just because IEP was a company that was bought by Bunak, which is a company that was owned by STA Travel. All that chain went bankrupt. Also, there was kind of an oddball in all the kind of visa available through Immigration New Zealand, and that they kind of like to streamline things. So if they kind of get rid of this weird visa that was just available through one company and just, that was just kind of a one-off weird stuff.
Yeah, it was kind of like the sort of runt of the litter when it comes to visas.
So I don't feel like this is going to come back, especially since they made the working holiday visa available to some countries like the UK and Canada to people up to 35 years old. So if you're up to 35, then you can get those one. It kind of basically replaces the whole thing. So for all those reasons, I actually think that this visa will just never come back. Again, I want to be wrong. I like people to have as many options as possible. But my gut feeling is the IEP visa is no more because the IEP company is no more. That's obviously just my opinion. Dam Cage says, one guy got killed in his camper van in South Island last year, but it was just stupid serial killer, I think. What? Did you experience that as well? I mean, what? Okay. And he says, maybe I just so unlucky. I didn't have a nice experience in New Zealand as a traveler. Well,
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that sucks.
Listen,
I don't really know. I think you got really unlucky. Or if there are some people that have similar experiences, they can share it with us. But that's definitely not the norm of what we've been hearing at all. I didn't even hear of someone getting killed in their camper van.
Yeah.
What is that? Didn't even hear serial killer in New Zealand. I am thinking there is some misinformation right here, but I'm not sure. I obviously I'm not sure. I do not know, but that just sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Michelle says, what are the other ways to get into New Zealand when you are 34 years old? So if you want to come to New Zealand, Michelle, you can definitely come on a visitor visa and come and have an awesome holiday in New Zealand. Visitor visa allow most people from most countries to come to New Zealand for about 3 months and travel around New Zealand. So obviously that wouldn't allow you to travel in New Zealand, but that would allow you to have the time of your life.
It would allow you to travel. It wouldn't allow you to work in New Zealand.
It would allow you to travel in New Zealand, but that wouldn't allow you to work. Thank you very much for that, Laura.
So that's what people actually usually when they reach 30, because just for other people watching, just so you know, the working holiday visa is usually up until about 30 years old that it is, that people can apply for it. So once you are over 30 and to come for an extended trip in New Zealand, usually by that point most people do get a visitor visa, like Robin says, that usually lasts for about 3 months depending on your nationality. And you just have to do some extra savings basically to make your trip last that long. But traveling around New Zealand on a budget is pretty easy, and we do have lots of information on NZ Pocket Guide. We have full budget guides, lots of free and cheap things to do around the country, lots of hikes. So, and we list tons of budget accommodations. So you can basically come to New Zealand for an extended period, and we have loads of tips to make your dollars stretch further.
And if you want to come to work in New Zealand, then you have to contact Immigration New Zealand and see what's your best path. Everybody has a different path. There's a ton of different visas. It's such a complex field. So you go to immigration.govt.nz, and then you're going to have all the information you want. And Michelle say thank you. It's Harris. Harris is still around with us. He didn't run off to go check out some lakes. He says, do you know some future buildings of Auckland that are under construction? Well, they're still trying to open the massive convention center for Sky City, so that's one of them. And there's obviously a lot of accommodation buildings. There is a lot of like kind of tall buildings with apartments and everything.
Well, most of the construction right now is actually for the underground train network. That's if you're referring to the constructions that have been happening recently, most of that is for an underground train network that they are doing. That has put most of the city under construction, but to be fair, I think Auckland has always seemingly been under construction for something or another, for buildings that are now up, but then there's something else that comes along. So you always have to deal with traffic lights and detours and awkward ways to get to where you're trying to go, and traffic. So Auckland's that's just kind of its personality now.
Auckland, always under construction.
Yes.
But yeah, so the two main kind of things that, are currently happening in Auckland construction-wise is, as Laura said, the underground kind of train. It even is going to link the North Shore and the main city. So there's going to be even more ways to get to the North Shore, to go explore places like Devonport, which is awesome. And also the massive convention center that Sky City is doing. So Sky City is a gigantic casino with the thing that has the big Sky Tower, the iconic stuff in Auckland as well. And so they have bought a massive piece of land nearby, and they're doing a big convention center there. And that's the other really big stuff that was happening. So that's the two main construction. Dam Cage says, I remember there was a lot of mob motorcycle gang members, all tattooed and scary. Just to let you know, this is in the news. Mark Ronald Garson, 24, was accused of killing Sean McKinnon, 33, and threatening to kill his partner, Bianca Berkeley, while the pair were holidaying in Raglan on New Zealand rugged west coast. In August 16, 2019, he was due to stand trial in November after pleading not guilty to murder. Well, that's probably just a one-off. I mean, there was also a girl that was like kind of killed in Auckland, 2 years ago or something. So, it is very far from what many other countries have. And there are crimes in New Zealand. I don't think that because people ride motorcycle and have tattoos, they are scary. I do have a tattoo, and Laura has a tattoo. She's not scary. But yeah, there are stuff in the news. But, if you just focus on this one-off, you are going to be, always scared of doing everything. But again, it's the one-off. Do you know how many millions of people travel to New Zealand and didn't get killed?
I mean, it would be probably hard to convince you that has experienced all of this while you were in New Zealand yourself. So yeah, I guess if these were your experiences, not obviously the murdering aspect, but the other experiences you were talking before, then yes, I guess it maybe would be hard to convince you otherwise that things are different. But
the good thing is that there's plenty of other countries in the world to explore. So you came to New Zealand, you had a trip, you experienced some of New Zealand, and hopefully you get to see some of the good moments you had as well, and not just the bad ones. But put those bad moments behind you, and travel to other countries, check out other places, and maybe you'll have better experience. Maybe it just means that New Zealand was just not your time. The stars were not aligned for that time for you.
It seemed like it seemed like that was the case.
So no panic. There is always some other countries. There are hundreds of countries in the world. So good times. Extreme Talota said, well, guys, I see you next week. Oh, that's nice. Everybody's saying goodbye.
See you next week.
Anthony Comstock was saying, have a nice week and stay safe, but I'm staying here until the end. Awesome. We only have a couple more minutes with you guys. So, yeah. Michael Connell, you guys are always kind of telling us when it's over. I love that. Sometimes I forgot to look at the time. Michael Connell says, a positive outcome. It's shown the overseas tourists are not the main cause of issues, as it's New Zealanders on the roads too. Great meeting new visitors on the road. Miss the chat with our visitors. Yeah, no, I totally agree. The media again, and you know that, Michael, since you are living in New Zealand, the media love to focus when there are tourists that have an accident on the road. But the main vast majorities of accidents on the roads are actually caused by locals, simply because there are more of them, and also because they usually drive less new vehicles, because tourists usually drive rental vehicles, and rental vehicles are usually better maintained and newer. And I'm just speaking from experience. I mean, we see all our neighbors have like rather old cars, which I don't know if they will brake very well sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's just that's obviously just a thought right here. But it's true, tourists in New Zealand usually have an absolute blast. And yes, we have one person right here that had bad experiences, but that definitely doesn't mean that everybody else will. And Damcage suggests us to do a complete, detailed, self-contained, simple conversion for beginner. I remember it was very hard trying to figure out how to do it. On nzpocketguide.com, there is actually a kind of a guide to actually go through in details what you need to do to get your car self-contained.
Yeah.
The self-containment definitions change from time to time, while the law changes. But we do have that here on nzpocketguide.com. We just don't have a video because that would mean literally having to get a car and do the whole thing. And that would be a bit of a high budget video to do. So we will do a pass for the video, but...
You can check it out on our website.
There is an article on the website for you, Damcage. All right, guys. So I hope that you enjoyed hanging out with us today. We did answer quite a lot of questions about the future of the working holiday visa, the future of the IEP visa, post-COVID. We did answer questions about the best lakes in New Zealand. We did mock quite a lot Christina with ever extending itineraries. She literally made an itinerary out of rubber bands and keep on extending it every time she watched a video. We had quite a lot of people hanging out with us. So thank you very much, all of you, for hanging out with us. It was awesome. If you did find this video useful, you hit like, you hit subscribe. If you're watching a replay of this video and we didn't answer your question, well, just put it in the comment of this video and we'll pick it up and do like what we did with Harris, and we'll answer it for you, which is always kind of fun. If you want to check out nzpocketguide.com, there is a link in the description below. It is the largest travel guide to New Zealand. You can pick our brain 24/7 on here. And is there anything else that I forgot to say?
Most importantly, make sure that you vote for the name of our Kiwi bird mascot. This is going to be the last week to do it. You can see it on the community tab of our YouTube channel.
And there's a share button on here, so you can share it. Get your friends to vote for the name you want. Come on, get Whitakers to outtake Whitbeaks. I do not want to have to kill that. I do not want to have to call this thing Whitbeaks. I want to call it Whitakers.
If it's called Wheatbix, we'll put a little sign on its neck and you can see what it's called. It'll look like a little Wheatbix on it.
Guys, be nice to me. Be nice to me. Get your friends and families and share this stuff and get Whitakers to overtake the name Whitbeaks. Come on. Anyway, we will celebrate the name of that Kiwi Birds next week. In the meantime, you guys are all staying safe. Have fun times. Martina says, see you next week. Stay safe. Jonathan says, sorry you got to run with the day now. Enjoy listening to you guys. Have a great day. Thank you for your time. You're very welcome, Jonathan. Christina says, thank you. Have an awesome week. Michael says, have a great week. Whitbeaks look like it's going to be the winner so far. No! Michael, get people to vote for the other one. Prem, Anando, give us a smiley face. Damian's... say thank you, and Jess Vincent says, hi, I'm Jesse from Dargaville. I love your European accent. Thank you very much, Jesse. Well, if you do want to hear more of it, you may want to rewind this video. We just were talking for about an hour.
And we were talking to someone else from Dargaville.
Yeah, there were like 3 people from Dargaville. We actually had a whole chat about far north as well. So that was kind of cool. All right. Thank you, guys. That was awesome to hang out with you. We will be back next week at exactly the same time. That's 8 a.m. New Zealand time. There's a link in the description below to what time that will be in your side of the world. And there is also a link to the next live session right in the front page of the channel. You guys are absolutely wonderful. We love you all. Stay safe. Have a happy time, positive thoughts, and don't let the news drive you crazy. Bye-bye.
See you next